Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be seeing their video on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And again, while I am counting this video as one that I want to do, I want to still give a thanks to Gabriel for the request. Enjoy, everybody.
1 minute and 11 seconds of logos! 1 minute and 11 seconds of logos!
Well, regardless of that, they're still nice and fitting well with the theme of this movie, like I said in my video for the first film.
Let's do things differently this time.
Can we not? That last movie ruled, so can't we just keep all the good stuff, like the music and the funky animation, and maybe just do less of the expositional character bot?
His name is Miles Morales.
Or maybe I could just go myself.
Firstly, Jeremy Sins himself cliche. Secondly, since Gwen is technically the secondary protagonist of this film, we need to go more into her backstory about her past and where she is now.
You think you know the rest. You don't.
Well, of course we fucking don't. And I never said I did. You said I did.
Well, she didn't say you know the rest. She said you think you know the rest.
In this line of work, you always wind up a solo act.
Don't hate on solo acts so quickly, Gwen. You can make more money. All the pretzels in the green room are for you. And, did I mention the pretzels already?
Firstly, yes, you did mention the pretzels. Secondly, you forgot the that before the R in this sentence here.
Naturally, Gwen's father just happens to be the first cop on the scene for maximum I hate Spider-Woman for killing my daughter's best friend drama potential.
Yeah, so?
It won't bring him back.
I don't want to argue about this.
Allow me to help. Skip.
Vulture!
Screaming their name usually works. I guess that worked.
This works.
Aside from the fact that she said it usually works, you're basically making the same point she made, so what's the point of this sin?
Oh, no.
What was Gwen's plan if Oscar Spidey's act didn't show up? Either she's just resigned herself to a new face, or she knew a Spidey ex machina was on the way.
But Miguel showing up here isn't exactly a Deus Ex Machina, because the previous film showed him in the post-credits scene.
You left a hole wide enough for guys like him to randomly get shot into the wrong dimension.
But if dealing with multiversal shenanigans is your strike team's MO, why didn't your guys deal with Kingpin's Collider instead of leaving it to Gwen and Miles? Was it because that movie didn't want to introduce you yet?
Aside from the previous film already introducing Miguel, based on what he said, he didn't already know before the Collider was deactivated.
Por Dios, he's got hammer space.
Beating. I was told there would be no math.
But these movies are stylized like a comic book, and those kinds of books have panels to explain things like this, hence the panel being here.
Also, an infinite pocket dimension where you can store gadgets and weapons seems super useful, and I look forward to seeing how our heroes utilize this technology to save the day.
Firstly, it's the Vulture, the bad guy with hammer space. And secondly, you've seen tons of other animated films that have shown you hammer space prior, so there's no way this is a first for you.
Which is it? Hands in the air or get down on the ground?
Believing that it's impossible to get down on the ground and have your hands in the air.
Well, to quote the Birdman, you're supposed to lie face down when a cop says, get on the ground, so both of those things contradict each other.
You have the right to an
Dad,
attorney.
stop!
Don't get any closer.
He pulls his gun on his daughter. Arresting her is one thing, but he pulls a f***ing weapon on her. How do you come back from that, Dad?
Well, regardless of her being his daughter, he still thinks she murdered Peter Parker, and as an officer, he still has to do his job.
20 minutes in and you're giving us more f***ing logos? Actually, it's worse than that, because these are the same logos we've already seen. Can I please glitch across a universe where this isn't a thing?
Well, it's typical for movies to show this studio presents text a little bit after the opening logos, so not sure how that makes this movie stand out.
Okay, if just Count GLaDOS was really thinking with portals, he'd realize that once he knows the location of the ATM, he can create the entry portal wherever he wants, as long as it exits inside the ATM. He could make the portal outside, have it appear inside the machine, and then help himself.
One thing you're forgetting is that at this point in the movie, the Spot doesn't entirely know how his holes work and is trying to figure them out. And this is why when he kicks himself into himself later, he figures out the powers of his holes and realizes that they are not a curse.
Okay, let's do this one last time. My name is Miles Morales.
Don't make promises you can't keep, movie.
Well, maybe the movie already isn't going to keep that promise because there could be a chance that Beyond the Spider-Verse will do this as well. And if that turns out not to be the case when that movie comes out, feel free to correct me in the comments section, guys.
I miss my uncle sometimes, even though he turned out to be the Prowler.
Previously on Spider-Man Into the Exposition Verse.
And I think this exposition would be needed for those who don't remember the first film so well, especially since it came out almost 5 years prior.
It's under control.
Soon-to-be Captain Morales survives this.
And that might be because the water helped out with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Then why did you pick up your phone?
Well, it was Rio who was calling him, so...
You really don't remember what you did to me?
Spot's mad at Miles for getting something that he couldn't possibly have known in the first place, and that is a thin premise for your multi-movie spanning Big Bad.
Well, characters need to have flaws in order to tell a story, and this is a flaw of the Spot, not the movie itself.
I ran a test on this collider that brought a spider here from another dimension. My spider made you Spider-Man.
Spot continues to be mad at Miles for shit that he had little to no control over.
Well, again, that's a flaw of the character, not the movie itself.
I just don't want to lose him, you know?
My mom lost me in a Best Buy once. Naturally, I found my way to all the TVs, and they were playing like,
Okay, let's just skip this and move on, shall we?
And catch that holes guy.
asking someone else to do your job for you.
Well, Jefferson saying this to Miles makes sense when you consider the fact that the Spock can portal travel, which would make the former hard to stop him.
I think I kicked myself into myself.
Just gonna ding this on behalf of all the scientists and philosophers who are spinning so hard in their graves that they could become particle accelerators themselves at any minute.
So you were okay with the fact that this character can create portals, but this here is what crosses the line for you?
Wait, why is everyone in this universe tiny? I get that Lego pieces are tiny compared to us, but why wouldn't they just be regular sized in their own universe?
Because the minifigures are basically like humans in another universe in this movie, which can also be said for the Lego movie.
You're grounded.
Yay, after some exciting and totally not cliche parental drama, the superhero is grounded. This is super interesting, and I'm sure he'll be conflicted for all of 3 seconds before deciding to unground himself and make this all moot.
And that's exactly what Miles does when he goes back to his room before Gwen arrives, so what's the problem here?
Okay, so there's this lady, Jess Drew. She read
The idea that they could hear each other enough to have a casual conversation while swinging high above a busy and loud city is all the bullshit.
Well, not everything has to be realistic in this kind of media. I mean, this is a movie based on comic books about a teenager who gains spider superpowers, so maybe you should just go along with it.
Sitting in a position where all the blood flows to your head and you increase the chances of passing out and falling to your death.
Well, Spider-Man has a natural instinct to want to do that. This is because since the spider bite gave him a circulatory system similar to a spider, that's why blood doesn't rush down to his head.
Oh, no, don't do that. Miles,
All right.
it's really delicate. Sorry.
No apology needed, Gwen. This asshole just started pressing random buttons on an interdimensional stabilizing bracelet doohickey like it was a fucking bop it. This is on him.
Yeah, but I'd say she's a bit at fault too for not telling him how it works.
Gwen's Spidey sense, or Gwenny Gurgle, doesn't detect Miles sneaking up behind her.
Because like with other Spider-Men, her spider sense would only go off if she was in danger, and she currently isn't, hence her not noticing Miles.
Did you go see your little friend?
What? No.
Miles?
I mean...
Are you kidding me right now?
Wait, Jess knew this was a possibility? If she knew this was Miles' universe, and that Gwen has a history with him, and that Miles f***s up the multiverse, why send Gwen and put temptation in her way?
Well, what the movie establishes here is Jessica didn't choose Gwen to track down Spot. She insisted that she go, without Miguel knowing. Also, you forgot to put an S before the apostrophe here.
Luckily for Miles, this portal will stay open exactly long enough for him to ponder whether or not he should follow Gwen into it.
Yeah, so...
Stand back. I've been working on something new.
And it just happens to be perfect for this exact situation that I couldn't have possibly predicted.
Well, regardless, convenient things / coincidences need to happen here, otherwise there'd be no movie.
Sure, it looks cool, but do you really have time for posing when an entire building is falling on hundreds of people?
That's a good point, but they're just doing this for effect, and we're still able to save people on the bridge. Also, sending something you like.
Of course, the one bus that's in danger just happens to be carrying Pavitra's girlfriend because the multiverse really does seem to be designed to torture spider people specifically.
Well, yeah, otherwise this wouldn't be setting up the canon event that Miles disrupts by saving Inspector Singh, leading to the dimension unraveling.
How are you even cooler under your mask?
I know, right? It's so annoying. You almost want to tell Hobie to get out.
Well, just because you feel that way about it doesn't mean that others do as well, so I'll finally give out my award here.
The Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse? Huh, that's stupid. It's called the Arachno-Humanoid Polymultiverse.
Rotate acknowledgements.
Well, yeah, since Miguel acknowledges that that name also sounds stupid.
And you weren't supposed to save him. That's why Gwen tried to stop you.
Bullshit. He stopped him as much as I tried to stop myself from eating an entire party-sized bag of chips by myself last night.
Jimmy says something random cliché.
You break enough canon, save enough captains, and we could lose everything.
Living in a world where enduring all the trauma is a must for it to survive. This movie f***ing hates Spider-Man.
Well, similar to what the Birdman said in his video, these are things that happen to Spider-Man in general, so that isn't limited to just this movie. And to give examples, here's CBR's list of the top 10 most traumatic events that Spider-Man has experienced.
Spot does it.
Having your world-changing death coming at the hands of a villain is lame as Spot.
Remember though, the Spot made himself more powerful the last time we saw him, so he's not as lame of a villain now as he was at first.
Also, didn't Miles already have this life-changing event when he lost his uncle in the previous film? Why should Miles have to suffer through more than one heartbreaking relative death?
Because it's canon for a police captain close to Spider-Man to die, and Jefferson is about to become captain.
You have a choice between saving one person and saving an entire world, every world.
But it's more than that, right? The universe isn't just Earth. So doesn't disrupting these canon events wipe out an entire universe?
Well, Miguel isn't just talking about Earth, because in that clip you played he said every world, not every Earth.
Drop what you're doing and stop Spider-Man.
Ay, coño, Miles Morales.
Yeah, this confusion is on you, asshole. What did you expect saying stop Spider-Man would get you?
You got the Spanish wrong here, Jer. What Miguel said was ay coño, not ayuno.
Also, let's get this out of the way. Miles should not be able to escape. He just shouldn't. I wouldn't like his odds against 5 spider people, let alone the 500 or possibly even 5,000 that are chasing him here.
I disagree, because as the Spider-Man were chasing Miles, he was always doing things to slow them down and stay ahead of them. And at this part here, the Spider-Man here thought he had nowhere left to run, which is why all of them just stood there and did nothing, in which Miles proved them wrong by jumping out the window.
I've got you trapped in my well-defined musculature, so don't even
Miles triggers this wrist thing to explode despite it being right next to his head, like he knew for certain it wouldn't kill him and all the spider people on him.
And that might be because those aren't explosive devices, they're Ben's web shooters.
The spider that gave you your powers wasn't from your dimension.
Miguel's gadgets can detect and predict canon events, but couldn't warn him about this huge spider in the wrong dimension anomaly?
Yes, because as shown in the post-credit scene in the first film, Miguel learned about what happened after Miles stopped the collider.
There's a world out there with no Spider-Man to protect them because it bit you instead.
No. And this is Miles' fault. How exactly?
While it is the Spot's fault for bringing the spider to Earth 1610, it is also partly on Miles since he happened to be where the spider was and got bit. And also, this whole part of the movie is how Miguel is characterized, meaning that this is a flaw of the character, not the movie itself.
Also, if there are all these f***ing Spider-Men and women just hanging out here, aren't there an insane amount of worlds currently without a Spider-Man? How is that helpful?
Well, all the Spider-Men still have the ability to go back to their own universes with the watches that they have.
You talked about this? You knew?
Yep, Gwen knew, Peter knew, Miguel knew, Jess knew, everyone knows! Which makes it so f***ing weird that despite everyone knowing that Miles will f*** things up, no one prevents him getting bit by the spider, no one stops Gwen visiting him, no one stops him saving Inspector Singh, and you couldn't keep him locked up for a few days.
But like I said before, Miguel learned about all this after the events of the first film, so how could anyone have stopped Miles from getting bit?
Miguel seems pretty pissed here, but can't his wristband thingy just take him to the dimension that Miles is in? I mean, he knows exactly where he's going to go, right? Okay, he ends up in the wrong dimension because of the spider that bit him, but Miguel doesn't know that. And even then, that means there are only 2 multiverses he could possibly be in.
Well, like you said, Miguel doesn't know that the go-home machine actually sent Miles to Earth 42 instead of Earth 1610. Because right after this, he, Ben, and Jessica go to Earth 1610 to look for him, though he would eventually realize that Miles wasn't there.
I told you, you let him get away, I can't help you.
Yeah, but that was about Spot and not Miles. Furthermore, if Miguel needed Spot to get to full power and kill Captain Morales for the universes to stay in order, then why were they trying to stop Spot in the first place?
Except they were monitoring the Spot, not trying to stop him.
I let him have it, Mom. I beat them all.
You did not. You ran away like a little spider coward.
I disagree, because he did outsmart the Spider-Man and was able to lure them all away so that he could use the machine to go home.
Oh no.
He's in the wrong universe.
Fortunately for the shocking twist, Earth 42 is largely similar to Miles' Earth, including the animation style.
Well, yeah, otherwise it wouldn't be a shocking twist.
Incomplete movies!
Well, this was done for a reason, Jeremy. When this movie was in development, Phil Lord and Chris Miller split the film into 2 parts after realizing the story was too much for a single film. And if anyone's wondering, yes, I told the Birdman the same thing. And here's the end result, everybody. This in total was 142, and the sentence will be sent to the wrong universe. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.